awesome. Let me
Yep.
check from my side.
Do you all see me?
Ross, do you see anything? Mine's still loading.
Yeah, Ross just joined.
Okay, yes, you're live, you're live. Awesome.
All right.
Okay, good luck, have fun.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so here we are. Until people get in here too, I'm gonna do a little music. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be a guest of the Nelson Mandela University Psychology Society. My name is Tom. I'm gonna just play for a little bit longer here as everybody is coming in. I picked this song today because all of you in South Africa, you're going through exactly what we're going through here in America. It unites us. And not always unites us in a really positive way because there's so many negative, scary, fearful things going on in the world. But how it does unite us is it reminds us that we're all the same and that we're all going through this same sort of uncertain time. We're all having to walk through the storm. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Hi everybody, thanks for having me here today. My name is Tom Sweitzer, music therapist. I picked this first song to sing for you today because we all need to remember that as we are all dealing with the coronavirus around the world, no matter if you're in Little Middleburg, Virginia, or if you're somewhere in South Africa, we're waking up to the same fears and the same worries. And we all have to remember that we have to be strong and we have to walk through this storm together. As a music therapist, I've been a music therapist now for 10 years. I see the power of even songs like this. The lyrics, if you pull them out, and I've used this song now for many different clients that I have that are dealing with anxiety and depression. You can pull out lyrics out of music and use them to really relate and connect to what your client or your patient might be feeling. So even this line here, walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. I've been working lately with many different seniors from all over the place in America and how disappointed they are in their graduation, not having graduation, and how scared they are for their future. And this senior year, just like any year, but their senior year is not anything like they expected or dreamt. So when I take words of, though your dreams be tossed and blown, that's a prompt right there to ask them, what dreams do you feel? And I'm asking all of you right now, what dreams do you feel that have been tossed and blown into the wind and it's not really what you expected? Because what you have to do is walk on with hope in your heart. And hope is all we got right now. And so for many of the clients that I'm working with, I have them make a hope journal, things that keep them hopeful. And they also make a hopeful playlist of music. One of the things we do as a music therapist is we see how music can emotionally, clinically connect to the people that we are working with. And we try to give them tools on how they could use that for everyday living. And there has never been a time, more than now, that I see that the power of music is one way that we can connect and ground ourselves in hope. You're seeing it all over the world. All over our TVs, all over social media, big Broadway stars, pop rock stars, classical music stars, everybody, families in their living room, in their kitchen. We're seeing everybody putting out music into the world. In the last 3 months, we have seen that and felt that music is, many times we have heard it is a universal language. And we see that now. And we are all searching for hope. And I've been amazed at how music has been the international soundtrack for what we're all going through right now. And you can go back months ago and you can, you remember that first view we had of the balconies in Italy and people going out there to sing. Here in New York City, we have people that go out with their violins and bands, and they go outside on their porches and they produce music. And so this is one way that we are all surviving. I just want to say thank you for having me here today. I am a Ross Muir fan. He's one of your students in your program. He's been out here and he's volunteered time at my center called A Place to Be. So let me explain to you what A Place to Be is, and then I'll explain to you music therapy. A Place to Be is a center for music therapy. We work with everybody from 3-year-olds to up to 95 to 100, however long you're going to live. Because music is this portal that is a way into healing for many individuals. What you might not know about music therapy is we are clinically trained and certified therapists. So we use live music. Sometimes we use recorded music, but we use live music in clinical interventions. We have goals and objectives for our clients and for our patients, and we use music to attain and have those goals and objectives be successful. And I'm going to give you some of those examples today. It is really cool that we can do this. Thank goodness for Facebook Live. I've always wanted to visit South Africa, and I'm going to come there next year when we can all get on a plane and visit you all. So a place to be, we've been around for 10 years. I have 11 full-time music therapists. We see every sort of different population. We see people with autism, cerebral palsy, people with other developmental disabilities. We have populations that are just purely there because they have anxiety or depression, mental health, which I know is something that all of you are going into, or you're studying right now, or you are in the mental health field. So we provide one-on-one music therapy, and those sessions can be anywhere from a half hour to an hour. And that's where the music therapist is with their client, and we provide clinical music therapy. We also are in the hospitals here. We have medical music therapists on staff, and these medical music therapists go into the rooms and they work with the doctors and the nurses to see how music might be able to help that patient. It might be to help redirect pain. Somebody might be coming out of surgery and they are in pain, and our music therapist goes in there and they offer music so that person can maybe take their mind off their pain. But also we work very hands-on with the doctors and nurses. I'll give you an example of medically how music can be influential. Let's say somebody is getting a chemo treatment and they're sitting there in their chair, they're hooked up, they're having their chemo, their treatment, but we can see that their heart rate on the monitor, we can see that their heart rate is sort of high because anxiety creates that in our bodies. And we might start with a guitar. I'm right now at a piano, but we might look at that number up there and look at that heart rate. Now this is kind of a high heart rate. We want to help that patient take that heart rate down, right? So live music creates the ability for entrainment. Entrainment is where you meet your client or your patient right where they are. And then you, as a therapist, you're going to take them to where they need to be. So we need to lower this person's heart rate. We need to get this person breathing. Breathe in. Breathe out. Then very slowly, we start to take that heartbeat, that heart rate, and that patient with us. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then hopefully we see the number lower. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. So with that patient, we are in unison. We are connected to that patient as they are going through whatever medical procedure they are having. And sometimes it's hard to explain exactly what music therapy is because there are so many applications. I'm going to give you a story, knowing that mental health is something large and something that we are talking about today. One of my most profound moments using music in mental health happened 2 years ago. And it was with a young man who was 16, and he came into our office and he had his assessment. And when I met his mother in the lobby, she said, when you work with him, know that he's probably going to run away. He's going to run out of your office, so good luck. She also told me that he has never sat through a psychology moment, a psychology session. He had a psychiatrist. He, flipped the psychiatrist off, ran out of the building. And so here's this very big, burly, looking very angry young man in my hallway, and his mom says, you know, good luck to you. So I take this young man back to my office, and we sit. I sit on a chair, he sits on a couch. You know, normally as a music therapist, you might begin this whole thing with, you know, sort of a song, like a hello song, or I could tell this guy was not having it. So I said, thank you for being here. And then I asked him, who is your favorite band? What is your favorite kind of music? And see, right there, this is teaching you something about music therapy. We have the opportunity to work with the client or the patient's preference of music. So he told me who his favorite band was, and he said, you're not going to like it. I didn't say a word, and I just turned it on like this. So many of you know who this is. It's Metallica. So we sat there and we listened. Definitely not my favorite kind of music, but one song led to another, and we sat there and we listened. We did nothing but just sit there, look at each other, and listen to this music. And I really do appreciate Metallica. So we listened to 3 songs. We listened to 4 songs. Oh no, this one has gunshots, whatever. So 4 songs, 5 songs, and all of a sudden this young man is looking across at me, smiling as I'm, you know, head banging, and he's head banging, and 50 minutes go by of this session, and we maybe, you know, we probably heard 10 songs by then, little tiny comments in between, like, oh, I was 14 when that album came out, and he laughed, you know, and, or I remember the Metallica t-shirt, and, you know, but not anything really profound, because, you know, as a therapist, it takes a while to even build rapport. So now we're at 50 minutes, and we listened to Metallica the whole time. During the last song, this young man looks at me, and he has tears in the bottom of his eyes. I felt like I won, because here we are. His mom told me he's not going to stay with me for 5 minutes. He stayed for 50. And I looked at him and I said, thank you so much. Thanks for coming today. I hope that I see you next week. He stood up, he looked at me, and he said, I do not want to be the next school shooter. And I said, you're not gonna be. Because you just said that out loud. And next week, we're gonna listen to more Metallica, and you're gonna tell me just a tiny bit of why you think you feel that way. Well, I'm very proud of him, and it's pretty amazing. In the last 2.5 years, he's become a musician. He is definitely the opposite of a school shooter, but that is how angry and concerned he was about his own mental health. And as in many places around the world, school shootings are on the increase. And of course, all of you know that we have a very large problem here in America. But the music opened up the portal between he and I. It opened up our conversation. It opened up a connection. And many times when you're trying to work with a teenager, especially, talk therapy is very important. And there is no way that I could be working with this young man without having a real psychologist or psychiatrist next to me. We are not psychiatrists or psychologists. So within 3 weeks, I talked to his family and I convinced him if he wants to still work with me as a music therapist, we have to get him a great psychiatrist. And so for 2 years, I worked with his team. And that's really, we are all better physicians, therapists, healthcare workers if we work in a team. So the music was the key to opening up this young man to something deeper. And that's one of the benefits of music therapy. We get to use the client or the patient's preference of music. Because there is something within our brain. You can be brain dead everywhere else, and they have found on fMRIs, the last bit of what lights up in the brain is the stimuli of music. And more than ever, the NIH, I'm very honored to work closely with the NIH and also with world-renowned opera singer Renee Fleming. She and I have had the opportunity to talk about music in the brain. And I invite you all to look at Renee's page. I am her guest through the NIH, Music in the Mind, on June 16th at 5 o'clock. So please look that up. But now science, we are seeing the connection. And we are seeing how music really scientifically and organically is inside of us. We work very closely with people with Alzheimer's and dementia. People who cannot connect to the reality. There's something in music therapy called reality reorientation. And that might be using music to ground the person back into where we are today. And maybe I'm working with somebody who has Alzheimer's, and we are not really here in this world, but I might play something like this. Let's say I'm working with somebody who is in their 80s.
Fly me to the moon, let me play.
It's amazing. You can have an individual, maybe with Alzheimer's, maybe with dementia, or actually any sort of brain injury, traumatic brain injury, and they might not be grounded in the reality of where we are today. And if you're working in this population, which is gerontology, people mainly between 70 and 90 plus, and you play a song like that, they might not even be able to verbalize what they're feeling today, but they usually can sing every word of a song that has been memorized, that has been stored, archived in their brains from when they were younger. And many times when I work with these individuals, I might play that song, and there they are, they're hearing it, they're listening to it, among the stars, and they're singing the words out, right? When the song is done, what I find most inspiring, there is a very good chance that that music just grounded them into the world we live in today. And you might be able to have a conversation. Hi, Eleanor, how are you? Wow, it's a little cloudy out today, isn't it? And so we take data, and we are based on data. And I might, for her, I might have played that song, and then I have to take down notes that say, I had a grounded reality conversation with Eleanor for 30 seconds. The next time I'm with her, I'm going to see if we can move those 30 seconds to 35 seconds. Maybe it's 2 songs from her past. And then I find out you can have a whole minute conversation with Eleanor. And then what is amazing is that we can then generalize that, give it to the family members, and offer, hey, if you would like Eleanor, your mom, your aunt, your grandma to maybe not only feel the joy and reminisce, but you might be able to have a conversation with her differently if you use music as a prompt. So this is just one example. And there are many times contraindication, which I know you know that word very well. Sometimes music is not the best remedy or the best portal into a human being. So that's why you have to do a lot of research. Maybe Eleanor had a horrible experience with Frank Sinatra. I don't know. Or the song brings back emotional recall. And these are just some examples. And I do want to just say, as a music therapist, I'm honored every day to be working with who I work with. My populations that I spend most time with are those with autism, developmental disabilities, traumatic brain injury, and mental health. And I think if you start to see the world around you, how music can manipulate our emotions and feelings. I know that we've all been sort of feeling down and, we have to lift ourselves up. I helped somebody this morning make a playlist for themselves. They didn't even ever hear of Spotify. And I said, go get Spotify. It's like $7.99 a month. And when you wake up in the morning and you're trying to just gauge and navigate this very surreal experience we're all having, pick 10 songs that lift you up. And here's one song that he picked that lifts me up. Walking on Sunshine. It's almost impossible to hear something like that and not feel like you have to move, like you have to dance. So music can be motivating, music can be inspiring, and it can also connect us back to ourselves. And so right now, all of my therapists are very much using music for mental health. We are seeing every population, but more than ever, people are in need of ways and tools on how to lift their spirits. I'm going to go in really quickly to just talk about how music is beautiful, but there is a manipulation to it that once I kind of share this with you, and some of you that are musicians out there, you'll understand this. So we have 88 keys on a piano, and we have these notes. These 8 notes right here, that's an octave. But there's really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 notes in between. Sometimes just the intervals in between the notes. There was a famous movie in the 70s. See if you know what movie is this from? Jaws, right. So that's a minor second, which creates a certain kind of feeling. A major second creates a certain kind of feeling. Oh, we're going somewhere. A minor third creates a different kind of feeling. Here's a perfect fifth. That means between these 2 notes, there's an interval of 5. Now, just listen to that. Hear how open that is? Now, what's really cool is you start to realize there are so many children's songs that are made with a perfect fifth. This one you know very well. Right? Here's one. This is a 7th. And see how you feel hearing this. You want something to happen, right? You want this to happen, and this is called resolve. So sometimes we use these intervals to create tension, to create beauty, to create eagerness, to create yearning. know many of you already know this. This is a minor key. One little change, turning this A minor into an A major, changes our feeling. So that is really very quickly just explaining to you a little bit about the amazing benefit of music and its positivity of manipulation. Sometimes we hear the word manipulate and we think it's a bad thing. This is actually a tool for us to use. And now, as you're listening to songs around you, I'm sorry I'm using a blue solo cup. That's very unprofessional, but it is Memorial Day weekend here in America, which it's a holiday, but it doesn't really matter because we don't really know what day it is. But, and this weekend, music and tradition, right? We're going to be hearing, America, America, God shed his grace on thee. So music surrounds us all the time. And once you start to really get into what makes music and how its ability to alter our feelings, our thoughts, and I know many of you out there, you hear songs that are completely, it brings you back, right? Somebody that you loved. I have some people in my life that I miss very dearly, and there are some songs I cannot hear anymore. And then there are songs that my mom passed away when I was a child. If I want to remember her, I will put on the very overplayed Wind Beneath My Wings, very famous song from the late 80s, sung by Bette Midler. And it was sung at my mom's funeral, and that right there brings you into emotional recall. And that is how we can use music with a client as well. If we want to bring them into a place of memory, music can do it instantly. So overall, I would like you all to, leave this little introduction to what music therapy is, listening to music differently, and also seeing how you yourself might be able to use music in your own life. If you need to be lifted, if you need to even allow yourself, put your headphones in, your earbuds in, and you need a good cry, you know what music makes you do that. So with all of my clients, especially the ones that are now locked down, we are still in lockdown here. It looks like a week from now we won't be, and we're gonna, I know that you're probably hearing about this, we're trying to go back to our lives slowly. And I don't know how slow America ever is, and that scares some of us. But we're going to try to go into the real world again. And many of the people I work with as my clients, they are scared. And so, let's see, a few weeks ago, I was Zooming. We know Zoom very well, don't we? I was Zooming with somebody, and she said, every night I make dinner, it kind of makes me sad because here I am, by myself, again, in the kitchen cooking, and I'm having fun cooking, but I'm not feeling very good. So I asked her who her favorite singer was. She said Whitney Houston, and I said, turn her on, blast that music, and cook the hell out of your dinner. And just dance around. There's no reason you can't listen to music and dance. So she did. And she called me and she said, I don't know what happened. But I just started dancing, and I'll get into that in a second. She started to dance and cook, and she was having the time of her life. And she said she also started to cry. And she said, why? Why was I crying? I was having so much fun dancing to Whitney Houston and cooking, scalloped potatoes. And she said, why was I crying too? And this is something all of you, I'm sure, know. There is a fine line, a very close line between happiness and laughter and tears. Have you ever laughed so hard during a really bad situation that you just you can't do anything but laugh? Or something is so great and wonderful that you just start to cry? It's because there's such a closeness. And any of you that are movie lovers out there and you're watching a good actor or a good actress, or you're in real life watching somebody who is really just present in what they're feeling, be it, despair or just pure happiness, tears well up. And I told her, you dancing to Whitney Houston probably brought so many feelings up for you. So if that made you cry tears of joy, and for that moment made you not feel that despair of loneliness, then keep going, keep dancing. So once again, I would love to come back and talk to you all and even expand on this more. So every week at A Place to Be, we are now only doing teletherapy. We see about 170 families per week. And these individuals have an array of different challenges. And we are doing our best to be there with them, using the music. If it's for relaxation, because we need to lower their anxiety, we might be doing breathing exercises, breathe in. How about all of you right now? All of you that are out there in South Africa, let's breathe in together. 1, 2, 3, breathe in. Now, just don't breathe out. Breathe out with a big sigh. Oh! That's another very important piece. Do not be afraid to use your voice, to let it out. Breathe it in. And then breathe it out. Oh! And while you're there, take your hands like this, massage your face. When's the last time you massaged your face? Huh? I was going to say nobody's going to do it for you. Some of you might have somebody to do it for you. But massage your face. Let out sound. It doesn't matter if you can sing. So I'm going to open it now for questions. I know this was, I'm compacting everything here in a very quick time. I do beg all of you to look into music therapy. And then when you are out there working in the mental health field, know what we do and who we are and how we can be beside you and complement what you do. And we are about to go into a time more than ever that mental health is going to be so important to our world. And we have to go into it in a way that maybe, past 20, 30, 40 years, maybe we need to be innovative. And this is one way we can be helpful. Innovation here is, how do we use music that is non-threatening to help the person let out those emotions and feelings? And that's probably one of my favorite traits about using music therapy is, for those people who are very frightened and scared of therapy itself, this is a way to get them to open up and to feel without being threatened, especially if it's music that they love or connect to. So we use it to bring back memories. We use it to relax individuals. We use it to redirect pain. We use it with physical therapists, keeping the beat as you're gaining your physicality back. If you were in a car accident or you have a disability that you need to move your body, well, there's a reason that all of us, this is embarrassing to tell you all, but for years, it's not embarrassing, I'm proud of it. I was a Zumba instructor because I love to dance. And my first degree was music theater in 1994. So I was a dancer my whole life, and then I taught Zumba. Who likes to exercise for 50 minutes, moving, dancing around with no beat? So we use rhythm in 1,000 different ways, 1,000 clinical ways. So it is endless what music therapy can do. And I'm gonna now just open it up to anybody out there who has questions for me. Ross, you do have one. Which age bracket would you say where music therapy is most effective? That's a great question, Ross. I would actually say at this point, all. because we are also in palliative care and hospice, where an individual might be down to their last few days of life, and we might be singing them a life song. We might have collected the family and got information about their past, and there we are keeping them company, singing a song about, let's see. You used to like to make pies. You used to like to drive the car. And here we are beside you. Your family is here, holding your hand. It's okay to be afraid, but don't, because they are here. I'm making that up. So we have an individual that we work with who is 3 years old. He has Down syndrome. One of the traits of Down syndrome is low muscle tone. And getting the jaw to work and the tongue to work, this is why when you hear somebody who has Down syndrome, it might be difficult to hear them verbalize enunciation. So in the very beginning, this 3-year-old, we're working with a kazoo, and we're strengthening, using a kazoo with music, we're strengthening his muscles. So I would say it's the wide spectrum. Do you use any expressive therapies? Yes. So do you use any other expressive therapies, and are all your therapists able to play an instrument? To be a music therapist, you do have to be proficient in piano. Well, you have to be proficient in an instrument, but we are trained to be proficient in piano and guitar mostly. But you might come in to be a music therapist, and you're a clarinet player, and you can use that too. But yes, you do. We do use other expressive therapies. We work very closely with art therapists, and we have worked closely with dance therapists. How do we introduce music to our clients? Through a favorite song without them becoming fixated on that song and that feeling. Yep, you have to be very careful. I work with a lot of people with OCD. So a playlist has to be many different songs. And if that individual that you're working with has maybe severe OCD and they're going to become, fixated on that song, then what you might want to do is not only pick a variety of different music, but maybe give them a line where you can only listen to that song for 20 seconds. And then I do work with one young man who has pretty severe OCD, and he does become fixated on music. And so I always challenge him each week to find 5 new pieces of music. I work with children early ages 0 to 8 and always sing to little ones all the time. You know what? From the very beginning of birth, we are inside the womb, and what do we hear? We hear a heartbeat. And we also hear the water. We hear the surrounding sounds of our mother's womb. And that is rhythm. And that is why when you see a mom and they're there, where does it go? It goes right to the chest. And that baby's looking for a heartbeat. You said your first degree was in music theater, if I heard you correctly. What steps did you take then to incorporate music therapy to your scope of skills? Right. So I graduated in music therapy, and I had to go back to school. I went back to get my graduate certificate in music therapy from Shenandoah University. And then I went on to get a master's of music therapy from Berklee College of Music in Boston. And so it is a full degree. Even our test, our certification test, it's like the bar exam. If anybody out there thinks that we go out there and we play music to make people feel good and kumbaya, that is not what we do. And that is something that we are trying to alert the world to. What music instruments are the most effective to help someone through music therapy? It depends on the person. So for somebody with cerebral palsy that I worked with, her hands are very clutched and inside her body. We worked for over a year of getting her fingers stretched and moved, and to use her one finger to play Happy Birthday. Her goal was to play Happy Birthday with one finger for her 16th birthday. The side effect of working with her hand and her playing music, so she's just not doing these exercises, right? She's going home every day. Over a year, her fingers, her fine motor skills, they became so fluid that she was able to hold a spoon. That's generalization. So the whole time she was working on her fine motor skills here, she was with music, she was actually doing something bigger than we ever dreamed. I'm a consultant, youth and adolescent. Yep. Neuroscience, when we were carrying out neuroscience research, which really good. Oh, whether bass or treble. So, good question. These are all great questions. So no, I think anytime that you have bass, the question is, is there a difference when you're using like the lower or the higher? Higher music always makes us feel a little ethereal, lifts us up. With bass, it gives us more grounding and more earth. So I think it would depend on what you're trying to do with your client. So I am gonna, all of you are more than welcome to join. I keep my own Facebook. It's Thomas Sweitzer here in Middleburg, Virginia. I keep my own Facebook sort of as a journal of my life. I do crazy things too. And I try to, through this, I've been making some crazy videos, but they usually have to do with our clients, usually has to do with my life in music therapy. So please, if you want to befriend me on Facebook, it's Thomas Sweitzer. Also, you want to learn more about music therapy, go to a place to be VA, like Virginia, va.org. That's our website. And there you will find a lot of information. I thank you for having me. I do want to sing a song for you that I wrote last week. Somebody on my own, I do a Facebook Live on Thursday nights at 8. You're welcome to come to that. It's crazy. Sometimes I have a glass of wine and we dance and we cry and we talk. It's really to help. I know a lot of individuals out there that are lonely right now. So whatever we can do, it's not clinical music therapy per se, what I do on Thursday nights, but it's music for the heart. So please, if you want to come to my Facebook, go ahead, look up a place to be. Like I said, on June 16th, it's a Tuesday night at 5 o'clock. Please listen to our NIH and Music in the Mind interview with myself. And there's another brilliant music therapist. Her name is Wendy. And she's going to be on there with Renee Fleming and myself. Wait till you hear her speak. If you want a little bit more about the music in the brain, I tell you, go to the TED Talk by Kathleen Howland. She's one of my mentors and one of my biggest heroes in my life. Find her TED Talk, learn more about music in the brain. I thank you all for having me. This song is for you. Somebody wrote me, they said, Tom, if Winnie the Pooh, if Little Piglet asked Winnie the Pooh, when is this all going to be over? I miss seeing you and I miss hugging you. What would Winnie the Pooh say back to Piglet? I miss hugging you, I miss holding you, I miss all the things we used to do to pass the time away. I miss seeing you, I miss touching you, I miss you close to me. One day soon, I promise I'll be right next to you. When this whole thing is over and we've changed for the better, I'll be there for you. We'll walk in the park, we'll walk hand in hand, and when other people see us, we'll ask them to join us at a concert or a ballpark. you'll sit right beside me. One day soon, I promise I'll be right next to you. When the confusion is over and we're through, I'll be right there for you. Until then, hold on. Until then, hold on. You'll walk out your door and not be afraid, 'cause I'll be out there waiting there for you. I'll be right there waiting for you. I'm so happy all of you are going into the mental health field. I'm so happy to be here today with you. I feel like I visited South Africa. Remember, if you need a tool, I know many of you already love music, but start to listen to music you've never listened to before. Start to take a risk. And if you're cooking in the kitchen and you feel a little down, lonely, play some music and dance. I look forward to maybe hearing from some of you, and soon we'll all be together again, and I hope to come out there next summer. And thank you, Ross, thank you, Carmen, and thank you to the school for having me today. You guys have a great day.